All right, in this segment, what we're going to talk, well, first off, what we did talk about in the prior segment was identifying what to teach. And what we learned from Pakistan and New Orleans is we're going to focus on current year content. We're going to teach it well. We're going to do it in an inclusive, expansive way, and we're going to provide additional support as students need it rather than front loading the year with a bunch of review. So we talked about what we're supposed to teach. Now in this segment, we're going to talk about how do we teach it. And I'm going to call that future-proofing our instruction, because we need to think about lesson design that is going to be able to respond and adapt regardless of the learning environment, whether we are face-to-face, some sort of hybrid model, or if we are fully remote instruction. So let's get started on this future-proofing our instruction. And the idea is, let's see, here we go. There we go. Let's start with some baseline expectations here. So using Pakistan and Hurricane Katrina as some baseline data, the Brookings Institute, they modeled, so what are the implications of this COVID-19 school closure? And so they did some modeling, some statistical modeling, and they figured out that a student missing 3 months of instruction in 3rd grade would have learning levels in 10th grade a full year lower than they would have been had there been no learning shock in 3rd grade. All right, so that's just based on what we observed from Pakistan and New Orleans, that when those kiddos came back to school and they just marched through business as usual, they by the end of 10th grade had about a year's lost learning, all right, cumulatively speaking. Most of that is because we kept focusing on review, the old content, rather than focusing on current year content. However, now here's the cool thing from what we've learned through and what we can expect through statistical modeling, that with proper remediation and an effective set of instructional strategies on how do we teach the things that are high priority, we can expect that those same students, by the time they reach 10th grade, will actually be more than one whole grade level ahead of schedule, compared to had there been no shock in the system and no change in the way we teach. So folks, I know things are desperate. I know man, we wish this stuff wouldn't have happened. But the fact is, with proper planning on our part on what to teach and how to teach, our kiddos are actually going to come out of this better if we do it well. So that's what this screen is about. And here's the challenge. The challenge is, first off, we know schools are going to close again. And so since schools are very likely to close again, we need to plan for remote instruction. Another challenge is those students lost valuable learning time. So, and all that's just going to amplify a pre-existing inequity. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to do remote learning to allow students to self-pace so that they can access additional support as needed. And then we also know that teachers have different levels of comfort with technology. And so we're going to provide all of our training through PD. That's basically what this screen is talking about. And in a nutshell, here's what I want teachers to do. Just assume that you are planning for 100% remote instruction. The idea is, if you've planned for 100% remote instruction, then if you are blessed enough to actually get to see your kids in any amount of face-to-face, you're going to take that work that you've already planned for remotely, and you're just going to use it with your kids in face-to-face experience. That downshifting from remote instruction to face-to-face is a much easier transition to make with a lot less work on the teacher's part than planning for face-to-face and then suddenly having to upshift to a full-on remote instruction. All right, so that's our goal here in this segment of videos. Now, how are we going to do this? I want us to think about 3 components for what this good awesome remote instruction is going to look like. It's going to have blended instruction, which doesn't mean blended as in some of it's remote and some of it's in face-to-face. No, 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 no. What I'm talking about is blended instruction with respect to like universal design for learning, meaning some content is going to be delivered in video, some of it's going to be delivered in audio, some of the content is going to be delivered in text. That's what I mean. Some of it's going to be delivered in real time on Zoom, right? So that's what blended instruction means. Another component is going to be self-paced structure. So we need to use a learning management system. We're going to talk about that in another video. We're going to use a learning management system to allow students some self-paced flexibility to allow students to access what they need when they need it without necessarily having the teacher be the provider of that in real time. And then the last thing we need to think about is mastery-based assessment. But assessment, man, we're going to talk about that way at the end. Let's get what we're teaching and how we're going to teach it in the first place. Now, notice at the bottom, all of this is with this deep and profound focus on social and emotional needs. We're going to provide synchronous check-ins to allow students to check in on, for us to check in on students' social and emotional needs. Maybe during these synchronous check-ins, we might provide some academic intervention, some tutoring, but really the primary focus is social and emotional needs and building relationships with our kids and maintaining that engagement with our kids. Now, I used a couple of words that are going to be part of your taxonomy moving forward. Synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous means it's happening in real time. The kids have to be logged in order to see what's going on. And if they're not logged in, then so sad, too bad, you missed out. Asynchronous is flexible time, where students are able to engage in that learning process whenever they have a Wi-Fi device and then whenever they're able to log in. This video is an example of asynchronous flex time. You are watching this video whenever it's convenient for you. We don't all have to log in at the same time. So let's dig into each one of these things real briefly. Blended instruction. One of the key things is videos. The key thing, in fact, I'm going to go back. Students access new content through teacher-created videos and then UDL infused online instruction. So that teacher-created videos turns out to be a significant contributor to student learning and student engagement. So, and it has to be teacher-created, because here's why. We have some research that says students are more engaged with remote learning when they see their teacher's face during the video. Here's a couple of examples. Now, if you ever get access to this PowerPoint, you could click on it. These videos suck. They're not very good. In fact, here, I'll just play a quick little snippet of this. This is a really bad video of me. All right, in this video, I'm going to talk about what is a fraction. Like, what does it mean? And let's start off with a fraction. Let's start off with 5/8. Now, got a bunch of vocabulary words. Notice how cruddy this video is. It's just an example of me occasionally looking into the computer and writing on a stupid whiteboard. I just put my laptop on a stack of books. I put that stack about 2 or 3 feet away from the whiteboard, and then I just pressed record and I used iMovie, which was already inside your computer. There's so many different programs that you can use. At the very least, if you don't like the idea of your whole entire time having your face be in the video, at the very least show your face at the beginning and possibly at the end, just to build a relationship with your kids. If we truly believe that learning is a relationship-based endeavor and that relationship is important with our kids, then teachers, we need to get over the discomfort of seeing ourselves on the video. We just got to do it because our kids need it. That is how they're going to be engaged, and that is how we're going to have some semblance of a relationship during this endeavor. All right, here's the neat thing. keep the production value low. It is better to have a cruddy video with your face on it than to use somebody else's really fancy produced video. All right, that's the key. Your kids need to see you. Here, I'm going to grab my phone here. So it is better to have your spouse or your son or your daughter or something hold the video and record with this and then upload this straight to YouTube than it is to have a fancy video that somebody else made. All right, so so lower the bar. Don't say to yourself, oh, I can't make a fancy video, so therefore I won't make any videos. Nope. Low production value is better because it has your face, and that's what matters. Some more research. Blended instruction doesn't need to be pretty, it needs to be personal. What we found is students actually appreciate it when the teacher talks kind of fast with high enthusiasm. Why? Because conversational language is what makes sense, and oftentimes when we're in a video format, we suddenly start talking as if we are careful. No! Talk fast with high enthusiasm and use conversational language. Why? Because students get bored and they can always press pause and rewind and then play and then pause it and rewind. They can turn on the closed captioning, which will also allow, because you know what? It turns out the research is showing that kids can listen faster than we can talk. So they're getting bored, especially with your students with ADHD. If we talk a little bit faster, then they have to actually sit on the edge of their seat listening, and it actually increases engagement and increases achievement with our students. Here's another little nice piece of information about these videos that you're going to make. Short and sweet. Videos should be somewhere between, I know my little screen says 6 to 10 minutes. Yeah. Really, I've seen research. This screen right here is saying really we're aiming for 3 to 6 minutes. 3 to 6 minutes, maybe up to the 9 minutes or 10 minutes right here. These 3 bars are telling us if we aim somewhere between 3 minutes and about 9 or 10 minutes, that's going to be the sweet spot. Now, here's the other thing is you can make it a 15-minute video for all you care, as long as you also teach your students how to fast forward, how to skip, how to increase the speed of the playback video. Maybe they can listen back at 1.5 speed, so they can take that 10 minutes and shrink it down to about 6 minutes. And so there's some tricks. But in general, you want to keep your video to be about between 6 and 10 minutes. All right. Now let's move on to a self-paced structure. So the best thing to do is have a learning management system that allows students some sort of flexibility in terms of what they do, when they do it, and in what order. Their pace and their process is what we need to provide choice in. A couple of options, particularly for the younger kids, kinder through 5th grade, Seesaw. Profoundly awesome. The free version is remarkably robust and really useful, although I do recommend districts that can afford it, pay for the district version and get the whole bells and whistles, because it is a profoundly good learning management system, easy for teachers to upload content, for the students to access it, for the students themselves to upload their work and stuff. It's really good. It also has a really good parent component that allows the parents to also be abreast of the situation. It's a really powerful. It's like it takes Flipgrid, if you're familiar with Flipgrid, and Google Classroom and Class Dojo and Remind, and it kind of puts it all together into a single thing called Seesaw. It's really, really powerful. For the upper grades, let's say 6th grade through 12th grade, Merced County Office of Education has created a learning management system based on the Moodle platform. We call it eLearn, MCOE. Unbelievably robust. This is exactly the tool that colleges, universities, and large enterprise companies use for educating their students and their workforce. So it's a really long-standing process tool that's been around forever, and it's really good at building community and managing that learning, that online learning that's supposed to be happening. All right, that's about all I'm going to talk about in terms of specific learning management systems. Seesaw and eLearn are the things I'm advocating for, but you be you. Now, the purpose of that student choice. Here's an example from an eLearn course that we created for our Migrant Ed program. And this just happens to be a random lesson that I just did a screenshot of. And what it does is it allows students to move through this lesson in the order that they want. They don't have to go through line by line by line, although it is designed for them to do that. But students who would prefer to read the words and then watch the video, they have that option. Students who would prefer to watch the video and then read the words have that option. Heck, a kid who wants to do the assignment first can click on it, look at it, and then say, ooh, never mind, I better go backwards. So this is what we mean by providing choice. Your learning management system has to be designed to allow kids to navigate in a way that allows them to go in the order that suits them for that particular time. At any time, we can also provide links that then sift kids out to access additional support if they need it. That's what we're talking about in a really powerful learning management system. And in a good learning management system, we'd also want students to be able to have some way for them to track their progress. Checkboxes. You could create a form on Google Doc and have the kids do it manually, but a good learning management system will also do that for the kiddos. And then the last one is online assessment. How do we assess kids in a deep and meaningful way if they're not going to be in the room with us so that we can watch over them, right? There's a variety of options. Assessments is particularly good for districts that are using Eureka Math and other open source curriculum like illustrative math, which is for middle school. It's also really good for high schools that are using Mathematics Vision Project. So it is just an unbelievably profound, awesome, powerful way to assess students at home. It's free too. It's forever free, and so very good. But that's about the extent. Oh, I guess I will share. GoFormative is not free. It is a tool that allows in real time the teacher to see all the students doing their work. That's what this one screen is. And then all of their work then is funneled to the computer and for data later that the teacher can then act on. It's not free. It does have a free component, and it's pretty powerful. So that's all I want to say about the assessment part of how we're going to teach. Moving forward, we're going to really focus on, what have we done so far? We've done responding to unfinished learning. That's what to teach. Then we just did how do we teach, future-proofing our instruction. And now we're going to dig deeper into that learning management system, and that's going to be in our next segment, our next video, where we're going to really dig specifically into some learning management systems.